Hi, I'm Effie. This is What Effie Reads, and this video is going to be my vlog of the 2022 48-hour Bookoplathon. Good morning. We're a little over 8 hours into the readathon now. I feel like I haven't made much progress. So the first two prompts were a book under 300 pages and gods. For a short book, I decided to actually go with something that I was already in the middle of, actually pretty close to the end, but I just needed a push to get through it because it was a struggle, and it's I Know What I Am. I feel like this book had a lot of potential. It's the story of a famous Italian 17th century female artist, but it just gave you so much information about everything that was happening at the time, and I feel like the artist's story was lost in all this extra information, and there was so many characters and it was really hard to differentiate between them. And there was a lot of text on the page. So obviously this is an A4 book, so it's chunky anyway. And let's see if I can find one that's like, so like this, for example, that's an awful lot of text on the page, especially because in a graphic novel you usually have like a couple of speech bubbles per frame. Some frames don't have stuff, but this was just so much text. And I still feel like I know nothing. I don't know if there was a point to it. It just missed the mark for me, which is a real shame. And then I went into my library to pick a book for the prompt of gods. And I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like a glutton for pain. But The Grace of Kings was what was really speaking to me. And I don't know, it seems like a bit of a silly choice because it's like 700 pages long according to Kindle. So even though I own the physical copy, it's the beautiful broken binding copy. I will insert a picture here, and basically I don't want to read it physically because I'm worried I'm gonna affect the spreaders. Like if I couldn't get it on Kindle, I would have read it physically. So I'm reading that, and it, as I say, it's 700 pages, and my Kindle reckons it's going to take me another 18 hours to read, which feels like a really stupid choice. So I probably will continue reading it, but I don't know if I'm going to continue reading it over the weekend. Like at this point in time, I think what I'm going to do is change my book when the rolls drop at midday and just pick something else up. I'm not sure, but I do need to go to the library today as all of my books were due for return, and I was able to renew all except one, which is really frustrating because it's just that one. So yeah, as I say, I've got to go to the library. And I'm thinking I'm going to pop out now, have a shower, head out now, and hopefully be back in time for the midday roll drops. I'll probably catch up on these sprints a bit later. I'm not sure when, because obviously this is live for the 48 hours, but that's what my day is currently looking like. And what I will say is The Grace of Kings, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's just that because it is so chunky, I'm super intimidated, and I am quite a slow reader. I know I get through a lot of books, so it's potentially a surprise, but it's just because I read intensely. I read slowly but intensely. But yeah, I should jump in the shower and I will check back in later. So I went to the library and returned my book and a few extras that I'd already happened to read. And then I picked up a whole heap more of library books. And now I've got some food. I've watched the next roll drop. And we've got a book with a colour in the title and an ebook or an audiobook. And considering the books I currently have on the go are in those formats, that's really helpful for that prompt. But for a book with a colour in the title, I'm really struggling. So I might just skip that prompt because it is kind of just play along with whatever works for you. It's a very easy breezy readathon. But I will check back in later. Well, I'll check back in later anyway. But I will pop in if I have any ideas about that prompt. So it's a little after 4:30 now, so we're no, it's not 4:30, 3:30. So about 15.5 hours into the readathon, and I've literally only finished one book today, and that was the one I was talking about earlier. I think I'm about 4% into Grace of Kings, if that. But as I said, I kind of put it down when the new rolls dropped at midday. And I'm now reading Breeding Lilacs, because obviously it's got lilac in the title. It is a novella, it's less than 100 pages. I'm not sure what I'm thinking about it right now, but it's got a kind of the Butterfly Garden feel to it. And I'm also just kind of listening to The Keeper Chronicles, and I can't remember the author of that. And that is a book that I've been listening to for a few days now. The audiobook's like 43 hours long, so I'm just kind of chipping away at it. And at my current reading speed, I've got like 7 hours left. So I'm just kind of popping in and out of it. I think I'm just taking this readathon a lot easier than I did last year. I mean, last year I was furloughed, so I didn't have to go to work for months either side of the readathon, whereas obviously this is just like my weekend dedicated to this. But also, I'm enjoying myself. I enjoyed myself last year. And I'm just having fun. If I finish books this weekend, brilliant. If I don't, oh well, no biggie. But I think I will at least finish Breeding Lilacs because it is so short. And I probably will finish The Keeper Chronicles as well because I'm enjoying chipping away at it. I just don't think it'll be finished before the next load of rolls drops. It's about 7:30 now and I'm starting to really crash. Well, I say really crash, like I can feel that I could do with a bit of a nap. So I think my plan is to get to the end of these current sprints and then nap until maybe about midnight when the next roll drop is. We'll see. I think what I'm going to do is mute the sprints and just kind of chill, read, nap if I feel like I need to, but kind of take that pressure away, pull back from participating just to give myself that space to rest. So I'm still reading Breeding Lilacs, and it's really weird. I'm not sure if it's a dark romance or if it's horror. It's like somewhere in between at the moment, which is really intriguing. But the sprint before this one, we rolled up doubles, so we had to switch books. So I was reading the Keeper Chronicles, and I've looked up the author, and it's J.A. Andrews, J.A. Andrews. I am really, really enjoying it. It's just kind of this epic fantasy where we've got all kinds of politics, and we've got dying races and dying classes of magic, and there's lots of mystery and intrigue. And I like how in book 1 you were following one character, and then book 2 you were following a different character, but you get callbacks to book 1. So very much enjoying it, and glad that I picked it up. I still have quite a chunk of it left to read. I think I've got near enough 18 hours left in the audiobook, although I'm not listening to it on 1 time speed, so I would get through it quicker. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna continue with that for this sprint and then chill out. So I did end up going for a nap earlier, and I feel so much more, awake, weirdly enough, and ready to push through the next, pretty much 23 hours now. I haven't quite finished Breeding Lilacs, so that's what I'm going to do first. And then the most recent roll drop was a YA book and a spooky book, and I've got a few YA arcs because I'm going to Yalk in July, and also I like a kind of horror thriller type thing, and I've got a few of them. I've got the new Paul Tremblay, so I honestly don't know. I think I'm just gonna see what I'm feeling like after I finish Breeding Lilacs, although to be fair, it's kind of spooky as well, but I'm just having the best time at the moment.
Light flash, all gas, no brakes, whiplash. I'm moving like a NASCAR, don't crash.
I finally finished Breeding Lilacs. I started it at some point after midday, and it's now almost 3:30 in the morning. So somehow it's taken me 15 and a half hours to get through this 93-page book. And I will say that it was simultaneously better than I expected and worse than I expected. The reason I originally picked it up was because I'd seen a TikTok from the author where she'd basically said that Amazon was suppressing her book, which it seems to be the case because it's really hard to find on Amazon now. And something about her needing to rewrite the blurb description, and also be warned it's dark and it doesn't have a happily ever after. Which sounds really interesting, but I don't know, it's self-pub, or at least I assume it's self-pub. It has a lot of self-pub vibes. So it's really good for self-pub. Sometimes you pick up a self-published book and it's clear that there hasn't been any other hands in it and it's just not that great. Well, this was really good, and I like that it was dark. I don't know if it's crossing a line, but like it was really dark. I still don't know if you'd define it as dark romance or horror, but I suppose that's a pretty good line to straddle. Like there's a bit of a crossover there. But the ending was happier than I expected. I don't know, like, yeah, it wasn't a happy ever after, but I think I expected it to be really bleak and dark, and I didn't really get that from it. And now I have no idea what I'm going to read. Part of me really wants to pick up The King is Dead by Benjamin Dean, which I think, I can't remember what the comp titles are. I know one was Gossip Girl, and I was like, ooh, Gossip Girl inspired. And I know people really like Benjamin Dean's work. But honestly, I'm not really sure. I think I'm going to have a little bit of food though, because there's like half an hour left of this slot of sprints. So probably enough time to have some food. And then I will pick up my next book. So I'm not very far into The King is Dead, like literally a couple of pages. And I already feel like when this book comes out, people are going to compare it to Red, White, and Royal Blue. And I think that's really unfair. The thing is, I don't even know if we know the main character's name yet, but like he's a prince who's gay. So people are going to immediately be like, oh, Red, White, and Royal Blue. But also, like, it's kind of a really, like, British thing because obviously, like, homophobia is still, like, alive and well. And there's kind of been this conversation, people thinking and stuff, that potentially if one of the future royals were gay, that could progress things along. So like it's not a novel idea, and I think like it'd be really unfair if this book does get comped to that book. Like I don't know if it's going to have any similar themes. I don't think so, because it's like it's a very different subject matter, it sounds like. But I'm just like, it's gonna happen, and I'm already mad on the book's behalf. So my Kindle died in the last spring. It just needs charging. It's not like a permanent thing. And I know I could continue reading my book on my phone, but I also feel like I haven't done very much this weekend, so I should probably, move my body and stuff. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go for a bit of a walk whilst my Kindle charges, especially because I've got over 4 hours until the next roll drop, so I've got plenty of time. I don't know if it's going to be a long walk or a short walk. I'm just kind of going to pop on an audiobook and see how it goes. I was hoping I was going to have some nice aesthetic B-roll because it was beautiful weather yesterday, but it's grey and overcast today, so I guess we're gonna have typical Scottish weather B-roll instead.
You're the melody in my head that I cannot
glad I did bring myself out of the house, because just going for this walk, even though it's just been a short one, has really invigorated me, and I really enjoyed seeing all the nature. So I guess probably about time to turn back home. Hopefully my Kindle will be charged by now. But I've been listening to a bit more of the Keeper Chronicles whilst I've been out. I'm still really enjoying it. So the final 2 rolls have dropped. The first one was Water on the Cover, which, depending on the second prompt, which is feed scroll, I might take you through to the library and have a look at my books and see if we've got something that'll fit for that. But first, let's do a feed scroll. I think what I'm going to do is I will scroll Insta, and just out of curiosity, I'll also scroll TikTok, because I'm interested to see what comes up on my algorithm, because I'm slightly more on the diverse side of BookTok. Okay, so I'm going to start my screen recorder now. And as I say, we'll start with Instagram and see what comes up. Nervous. Okay, well, I don't know, because you saw that was a reel that came up and then it disappeared. So I'm kind of tempted to try and find that reel. But then, I mean, this is technically the start of the feed. I don't know, let's scroll and see. So I don't have that book. That is not a book. That has... Oh! Interesting. So this picture from Queer Book Box has like a whole heap of queer books, but one of them is this book. It's a different edition, but this is actually on my TBR for the month of May, and it's the last book that I need to get to. So that actually would work out really well. I wasn't planning on picking it up today, but that's fun. But I feel like let's go to TikTok, and as I say, just out of pure curiosity, let's see what TikTok would offer me. Let's see. Oh, I better turn my volume right down. Okay, so that is not BookTok. Oh, this is crochet based on Heartstopper. I thought this was BookTok for some reason. Bookish box is a mess. Is this gonna have books? I'm gonna say no. That's not. It's not. Nope. I don't seem to have much BookTok at the moment. I think this is... Oh, I really want to read that book, but I don't own it. Yeah, I don't own it. That's not BookTok. Clearly I'm not very much on BookTok. That's tarot. Sorry, I don't know if this is particularly interesting. I think what I'll probably end up doing is editing out this whole chunk. No, I don't own them. Adult fantasy recommendations? I'm scared. Let's see what we got. Come on. Hurry up. I'm not interested in your blathering. Oh, rapid fire. Cool. Still blathering. Get to the point, Min. Ugh. The Unbroken does not appeal to me. I got like 8 pages in, so I probably should give it another try. I've read She Who Became the Sun. Jasmine Throne, again, doesn't really appeal. I should read it at some point. I don't own The Mask of Mirrors, so I can't do that one. Don't think I own The City We Became, but I'm not sure. I do own Jade City. I don't own The Songs of the Forever Rains. I don't own For the Wolf. What's this gonna be? I do own Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I do own The Wolf and the Woodsman. I don't own that book. I don't own that book either. What's this gonna be? Oh, I've read that one. It scrambled my brain. I don't own Summer Suns. I do own that one. I don't own that one. Do own that. Don't own that. Is that the end of the video? I think that's the end of the video. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to be using the TikTok one because I went on Instagram first. But if I was, I think I probably would pick, I don't know actually. I feel like maybe The Bone Shard Daughter, because I've got that on ebook and I'm not in the mood for reading like a big chunky epic fantasy physically, if that makes sense. But now I'm going to take you through to the library and see if we can find a book with water on the cover. Ugh. I've already read that one, but I feel like that would really count. Maybe this one? Nope. Gaio? Does Gaio count? Yes, Gaio would count. No, I don't think Wake would count. I think that's a Sky. I don't think that one counts either. Don't have many that would count. Like, inadvertently getting a tour of my bookshelves. I can't get it out, so I don't know if it's got water on the cover or not. I imagine not, because it's like Sandman. I accidentally stopped the recording, but no, that's not got any water on the cover. Put that back. Oh! I feel like A Girl on the Shore's got to have water on the cover. Yeah, it does. It's meant to be absolutely gorgeous. It's still in its cellophane. Because I'm awful. Skip beat? Nope. I don't know why I just decided to take you through all of my graphic novel collection. Ooh, marble cake as well. So after going through my graphic novel and manga, I think I'm going to pick up Marble Cake just because I feel like I want to save Gaio for like when I want a horror prompt type thing. There's a little over 7 hours left of the readathon now, and I kind of feel like I've reached my capacity. I don't know if it's just because I haven't felt engaged by the last sets of sprints or if I'm just exhausted, which is really weird because I haven't read particularly intensely. I've only actually finished 2 books, because I managed to finish Marble Cake and was just absolutely baffled by it. I don't really understand it, but I probably will go back in the future and reread it, and maybe it'll make more sense to me. I don't know. But the majority of what I've done for the readathon is just like start books and not finish them. So I would like to finish at least one more. I don't know if that's going to happen though. But I have enjoyed myself, and I'm enjoying the books I'm in the middle of. Like Grace of Kings, even though it's chunky and it's really intimidating, I feel like it sucked me immediately in. I do wish there was an audiobook, but I can't seem to find a UK audiobook for it. The King is Dead, absolutely amazing. Like I love that it's exploring the grief, and also you've got this like intrigue and just all the different layers of this guy becoming the king at 17, and I can definitely see like parallels with things that happened in the royal family. What else am I reading? I'm still chipping away at the Keeper Chronicles. I think at my current reading speed, I've got about 5 or 6 hours left of that. And I started Gay Bar, and I don't know what to make of it. I think I'm enjoying it. It's really like sexually explicit at times, but it's very interesting already. Like I'm not very far in, but kind of talking about, why gay bars are important and the way that they've kind of been commodified now that it's seen as like more acceptable. So I don't know what I'm going to continue reading, but I'm having a fun time even if I am not very focused at the moment. I think at this point I'm pretty resigned to not finishing anything else today. Like the last session of sprints before this one, I ended up falling asleep. I don't think I planned on going for a nap, but I just completely and utterly crashed. And we're now in the last session of sprints, and I'm struggling to be awake. But I also know that because it's like 8 p.m. now, or a little after 8 p.m, if I go to bed now, I'll wake up super early tomorrow. So I kind of need to push myself forward for the next 4 hours so that I go to bed at a sensible time. I don't know. Like I've had a lot of fun this weekend, and even though I haven't really finished much, what I've read has been really good and I've really enjoyed it. It's the next day, I finally slept, so I thought I'd do a wee wrap up of the weekend. So first things first, stats. I managed to finish 3 books over the course of the weekend, which I know doesn't compare to what a lot of people managed to achieve, but I'm really happy, and ultimately I had fun. And I also find that if I go too hard with readathons, I just lose all enjoyment. On Saturday, I managed to read 255 pages, or the equivalent thereof. I was hybrid reading some of the books, and on Sunday, I managed to read 436 pages, or again, the equivalent thereof, because I was doing some hybrid reading. The books that I managed to complete were I Know What I Am, which is a biography of Artemisia Gentileschi, I believe. I will pop a picture on screen of the cover. It was just an absolute flop for me. I've been trying to read it for weeks. It came really highly recommended. I can't remember who recommended it, I think it was an author basically saying like these are the graphic novels that I've enjoyed recently. That was a while back though, but it just didn't work for me. I thought it was too many characters, it gave me too much background, and I wasn't really sure what it was intending to do. So weirdly enough, just because I absolutely despised it and it was a chore and I don't feel like I know anything about the painter's life despite reading this massive book. Well, I say massive, it was like this big but quite thin. I actually gave it a 1 star because it was awful in like for me. I also managed to read Breeding Lilacs by, I think it's Alicia LaRue. Again, I will pop a picture on screen. I don't even know how to really describe it. It's somewhere between like a smutty dark romance and horror. It follows this girl called Lilac who gets kidnapped, and basically something quite dark's happening because there's talk of a garden and a first harvest and a second harvest. It reminded me somewhat of the Butterfly Garden, like kind of different, but also you had allusions to this thing called the garden. You knew it was going to be a bit twisted in both of these books. But I remember I got it way back in, I think it was February time, because the author had posted a TikTok essentially saying Amazon doesn't like this book, they're suppressing it, which I think they still are because it's quite hard to find it on Amazon, even if you know exactly what you're looking for. Or at least I found that over the weekend. And also like there's no happy ever after. And yeah, I think I said my thoughts earlier in the video, but I guess I wanted something darker. I don't know. And the final book that I completed was Marble Cake, and I literally have no idea how to describe that. I will hold up the blurb for you to read. So pause to read, but honestly, I have absolutely no idea what was intended with this story. I don't know what was going on, but I read it, so that hit a few prompts. I don't even know what prompts I technically hit, but again, like it was more about having fun. And the other books that I read, so I was continuing with The Keeper Chronicles, which is for a vlog that I think is going up on Wednesday. So I won't really go into too much detail about that book today. But what I will say is it's an epic fantasy that I'm just kind of working my way through, but I am really enjoying it, and it was nice to chip away at that a bit more. It was very nice to listen to whilst I went to the library and went for a walk over the weekend. And knowing that I could continue the readathon but not being static for the whole time just kind of added to my enjoyment. I also started The Grace of Kings, which I don't know much about. I got 7% in and it very much sucked me in straight away, and I have enjoyed what I've read so far. I'm somewhat intimidated because it is like a 700-page book, but I do intend on continuing it. Hopefully I can get it finished this week, but I know because it is such a long book that might be a challenge, and I don't think there's an audiobook available, which I would have preferred, I think. I also started Gay Bar, which was actually on my TBR for this month, but I was leaving it to the end because it's whatever-a-thon next month. So I was like, well, if this rolls over, it's obviously queer, so extra points for next month. I think I'm liking it so far. It's a little bit uncomfortable of a read because I know it's a memoir, and the amount of detail that you get of the sex acts that happen in this book is, I think, more than I expected. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but for some reason it makes me uncomfortable because I know it's a memoir. Whereas, like, I know I read smart and it doesn't bother me in smart. But as I say, I've liked what I've read so far. I think it's just going to be an exploration of queer history. And I feel like, well, you don't really get much queer history unless you go looking for it. So I'll just be continuing with this. But as I say, if it rolls over into the next month, I'm not going to be too mad. I think I got about 50 pages in. And the final book that I was reading over the weekend is The King is Dead by Benjamin Dean. This book comes out, I think it's at the start of July. And it's been compared to Gossip Girl. I think it's like if Gossip Girl was queer. But I don't really agree with that comp title. I don't know if it compares more to the books, which I haven't read. But if you're looking for it to be like the TV show, it's not really like that. The bare bones of the story is that James Hampton is the next in line for the throne, and right at the start of the book, like, it opens with this. His father dies, so he becomes king. And with him becoming king, he is the first black king of the UK, but he's also hiding the secret that he's gay. And a large part of the story is kind of social commentary on how the general public responds to a black monarch. But also there is, and I guess this is where the Gossip Girl comparison comes in, the tabloids have got hold of various secrets about the royal family and they're trying to bring down King James. And part of the story is trying to figure out how the tabloid has got hold of all of these secrets. I'm not quite finished there. I think I got to about 65% yesterday, maybe 55%. But I will say the social commentary is potentially more enjoyable than the whodunit aspect, because I think I know where it's going. And if it is, it's kind of where I thought it was going from the start. But I do think if you can kind of overlook that it's potentially a little bit predictable and you can see where the twists are coming, it is a really well written book. And I definitely think that Benjamin Dean is going to be one of the authors that I make a point of meeting when I go to Yalk in July, because I have really, really enjoyed this book. And I think that's all. That's my weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed, lots of reading done. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or a dislike, free country, and subscribe if you think you'd like to hear more of my thoughts about books or you're interested in some of the upcoming content I've talked about. But that's all for now. Bye!
There's a place